So you may remember last week, Mark Miller, our immigration minister, introducing a cap on foreign student visa applications. So universities across the country, depending, I guess, on the city you're in, the bigger the city, the more this is going to hurt if you're a university. All this to combat, to do something about what he had called an out-of-control situation in immigration. So it's going to be university students essentially paying the price to begin with. Well, now we're hearing from an organization that represents universities across this country, Universities Canada. Julia Scott is their Director of Programs and Partnerships and is on the line right now because you have penned a letter, if I understand correctly, to the minister with respect to this. What is this about? What do you want to see happen here?
Hi, Dean. Really nice to be here. Thanks for having me. Our real concern here is the moratorium on processing new international student study permits. Because essentially what happened was Minister Miller announced on January 22nd what the new implementation of the policy would be, and there is a hold on any new permits that is coming in as of now. And due to that, it's really it really has a large impact on universities across the country. As you can imagine, this is the time for international student study permits to come in. We've estimated that somewhere between 15 and 20,000 permits come in between January and March. And the provinces are really grappling with how to come up with a system of provincial letter of attestation and have been given no time to do so without any consultation as well.
I find, Julia, the thing that I wonder about right away is what we're dealing with here in Quebec already, which is the tuition hikes for international and out-of-province students. So is this like a compounded situation? How does that affect this?
I mean, it's unfortunate. It's a real sort of it's sent institutions and provinces into a real tailspin with a lot of issues happening simultaneously. And if we're looking at simply the contribution that comes from international students, it's a contribution of close to $22 billion a year to our country. And wow. These contributions are really vital in sustaining our local labor markets, in increasing diversity, and of also meeting the demands of high growth sectors. So the policy that was announced last week, really the impact extends far beyond institutions and will affect businesses and communities.
Was that decision by the immigration minister, was that done in consultation with universities?
It's our understanding that it was not done in consultation with universities or with the provinces. And I think this is the real challenge now, that provinces have been tasked with coming up with a system to implement letters of attestation. And outside of Quebec, there are no current systems wherein provinces are actually providing a letter of attestation to complete the study permit. So, we're obviously urging the department not to impose the letter of attestation requirement until the provinces establish an effective process. And we're urging for urgent consultations with the sector to modify the CAP policy and clarify many, many outstanding questions and mitigating the negative impacts that will come.
So I want to be clear, Julia, in saying that I really understand where you're coming from and that the economic impact of not having these students is absolutely huge and critical. However, I also see the perspective that if we don't have the infrastructure in place to take care of them properly, if we are in a housing crisis, if we cannot accommodate them appropriately or, comfortably, what should happen here? How do we deal with that problem while at the same time still having the students come in and contribute to our economy?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a really good question. I think what we have to be careful of here is not to put the blame on the housing crisis on international students. Mm-hmm. It's a systemic issue. It's been bubbling for a really long time. Universities are very diligent in ensuring that international students that are coming and they studying at our campuses across the country have the required supports they need. And part of those are ensuring that they have support for housing, whether it be on campus or off campus. And as much as, the financial aspect is important, Canada will be losing billions and universities will need to make tough decisions on what that represents for the financial sustainability of our institutions.
I wonder, the number we heard originally, which was a 30%, then I understand, obviously, the larger the city, I mean, this could be 50% in some cities across this country, I guess Montreal, Toronto being two of those cities. Is there a drop dead date for this? In other words, there's be time now for consultation. You're asking to have a chance to speak with the minister. When does this actually go into effect?
This went into effect the moment the announcement
Okay.
was made on January 22nd. So that's the real challenge here, is that there's a number of parties, institutions, the provinces that are really scrambling to put the letter of attestation into place. So essentially what we're advocating is a pause, is for consultations, is for us to ensure that that the requirements for college and undergraduate study permit applications can be held until at least the end of March, or at least until provinces are able to establish an effective process.
Now, I know we've discussed this on the show before. We know foreign students obviously pay more when they come here. The government says it's a bit of a cash cow for universities. Is there a possibility, from what you understand, that some universities, once this is in effect, and you said it's in effect now, could in fact, I don't know, go bankrupt, fold?
I think at this point it's too early to speculate, because even the institutions themselves are trying to figure out what this represents. The real issue is the timeline. So as soon as the announcements were made, the caps were not delivered to the provinces, as far as we understand. We do understand that they have been delivered as early as last week and possibly towards the beginning of this week. And the provinces are just beginning to react. So, of course, at the same time, each institution is trying to better understand what this represents in terms of financial impact on their campuses.
I'm struggling to understand. Okay, so you in your letter to Immigration Minister Mark Miller, you've asked for a delay until March 31st. That's pretty darn soon, too. What would be achieved? Yeah.
It sure is. We are hoping, and we're working with the provinces, and each institution will be working with the province in which they're located to help move this forward. The Quebec, as I mentioned, has a letter of attestation, the CAQ letter, which is in the works and has been for quite a while now. We're not even clear on whether or not the Ministry of Education in Quebec whether this letter is actually a letter that can be used as a letter of attestation. We do understand from the federal government that it is admissible, but there are just so many questions that we have left unanswered at this point, trying to get clarity. And the situation changes every day. We learn more every day.
Oh boy.
Well, we wish you luck. And again, as you pointed out at the beginning, we forget sometimes in the context of this debate how much money these people actually bring to the economy, never mind what they ask for from our government or from our people. But hopefully that's something the government will acknowledge, and you get your March 31st date. Thank you so much for the time this afternoon. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.